My hope is in the Lord. And that when he puts his foot down, man, it's coming down hard. And I want to be on the right side of history. That's why I warn people. I don't want your blood on my head or on my hands. So I'm warning you. I'm telling you, stop being evil. Stop being even a little bit of elitist, not even a little hint of it. You've got to believe the way God believes. Okay? You've got to use your God-given imagination to understand what that means, to seek to understand. Ask, seek, and knock, and you will find. If you're earnest, if you're genuine, if you're sincere, if you really want the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, and to be empowered with it, and use that power responsibly, then you will find it. You will do it. Just like it's written in Scripture. So everything I'm telling you can be checked out in Scripture. Just remember, the root of all evil, like Jesus said, is the money. It's a false god. That's the way God sees it. That's what we need to see. It's incompatible, and we need to move away from it, make it irrelevant, and the way to do that is through true capitalism, which is something that these establishmentarians, the status quo, are fiercely, deathly afraid of. And they will fight tooth and nail to prevent that from changing this trajectory. They don't want anybody to get any appreciable amount of time to see that this game can go in reverse. Tyranny can be put into reverse, and here's how, and I'm telling you how, and spelling it out. But we have to demand it. We have to stand up against these people and keep exposing them and saying, no, no. The price of this is going to start going down, and we're going to have this chain reaction in reverse. We're going to start putting out this bonfire, this main fire, this driver, this causer of all the other spot fires out there that are causing this wanton misery in the land. Of course, people are stressed out. How do you think you're just going to keep raising? It could cost you more this month. Your rent's going up. Oh, did you hear? The price of this went up too. Oh, why do you think? The cost of your essential human need, your housing went up. So all this other stuff's got to go up. It's got to follow suit. God, get it, please. I beg everybody. I beg you to understand it, embrace it, and help other people. Don't let them shrink away. That's the way this thing works. You just enlighten anybody at the grocery store, wherever you are. Wherever you get an opportunity to meet somebody at a coffee shop or whatever, wherever you go and socialize. At work, your peers. There's a lot of places that we can meet people. And you talk one-on-one with people about these things and make sure that they understand the difference between true capitalism and crony capitalism. Okay, one causes more and more balance through greater prosperity across the board, and poverty dries up. Okay, and the other causes greater poverty and greater wealth imbalance. Okay, one is stealing the wealth of the people, regular people, just average workers out there. That's what crony capitalism does. And the other one gives that wealth back to them where it belongs, where it is deserving. Those whose jobs are critical, imperative to the welfare of society, and anybody that would dare out there call these people unskilled workers, when you know, and if you have even a little bit of an iota, a modicum of honesty, you have to admit that their jobs are imperative. So for you to say, well, robots are going to take them over, so what? Who cares? Look at all the jobs that would disappear tomorrow if we just solved this desperate, extreme poverty. Do you understand? Crime would plummet overnight. We'd have a kinder, safer, gentler society overnight if you just ended desperate poverty, making sure that everybody had dignity, just at least enough to survive on, and keep a roof over their head, even as modest as it might be. You're opposed to that? You're evil. You're going to hell. I'm telling you. I'm warning you. Think of all those jobs that would disappear in the criminal industrial complex overnight. The dubious war, much harder to get started. We go to a righteous war for free. We'll pay to go to that war to kick Hitler's butt, for example. Do you understand? But no more dubious war. Hell no. We don't want to be involved in any of that bullying kind of crap. America's a gentle giant. We got to set a good example. We're the last guy to throw it. We take a licking and keep on ticking. That should be our attitude. Humility and strength. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful quality. That's what we want America to be, and to set that example for the rest of the world. So no more dubious war. And we don't need a welfare industrial complex once we end extreme poverty. Okay? So all those jobs would go away. And how about all the people working in the financial services industry? They're all jobs going to be all irrelevant. When your currency is worth so much, a few bucks, nobody cares. Nobody's needing to borrow money anymore. Nobody's needing to invest anymore. Nobody cares anymore. It's all irrelevant. Do you understand how this thing works? So there are all these. So what are you going to do with all those people who, because we just solved that one problem of extreme desperate poverty to the point of homelessness and people dying out on the streets, just solve that one problem. And remember, if these people are criminals, you turn your nose up at them. But if they were criminals, it'd be costing you $50,000 each, okay, where they would be safely ensconced in jail with 3 hots and a cot, medical services, and on at your expense, $50,000. Do you understand? And already you're paying $50 billion a year through Section 8 HUD housing to house people that can't afford to house themselves, to subsidize their rent. Do you understand you understand the implications of what I'm saying? How dramatically cheaper it'd be just to end extreme poverty. All those jobs that you're supporting now that would disappear. Then you say, but what are we going to do with all these people that don't have jobs now? I guess you're just going to have to do something else. But you too cannot be allowed to be. I don't want anybody to be extremely poor. That's what I'm saying. If God had his way, nobody would be extremely poor. So how do we justify it? How are we going to reconcile that and stand before God and answer for that? To prescribe to that idea. Okay, with Alex Jones saying, oh, well, you know, they say don't feed the animals, the wild animals, because they get unhealthy. Yeah, well, you're giving them the wrong food. Give them what's native and what you're giving black walnuts. If the squirrels stay tough and strong eating black walnuts, then give them black walnuts. But they don't like those as much as peanuts. Well, then, yeah, you're making them unhealthy. But I would point to, I remember one time I was up with my daughters when they were young, and we were at the San Francisco Zoo, and I was talking to the zookeeper gal that was taking care of the big cats, and we're talking lions, big ones, big roaring ones that were hungry. And I asked, I said, you know what, how long do these big cats live? And she said, well, they live about 5 years in the wild and about 10 years in captivity. I thought, wow. How interesting. So these animals domesticated, having, you know, the life of Riley, so to speak, having it easy, not stressed out, you know, having to go hunt down their food and having to protect themselves and their cubs and everything in the wild, okay, from other animals that would harm them, then, you know, you understand, twice as long a life. So, I mean, Alex Jones, man, you got to get some wisdom with that intellect, because I know he's a super smart guy. You ever listen to his vocabulary? He claims to have read now he says 600 history books. Hell, I didn't even know that many history books existed. But, I mean, if he's got a forte, like history is his thing, maybe he had to stick to that. But, you know, he starts wanting to talk about economics like he's some kind of expert. But, I mean, he won't even define these terms. And he's a cutting-edge educator. He is mainstream internet media. That's what Alex Jones and his reporters and his guests are. So, I mean, I'm holding these people's feet to the fire to give us the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, and explain stuff to people in nuts and bolts, simple terms. Be willing to do the math, okay, and let's define progress. Let's define capitalism. Let's define what's supposed to happen under supply and demand capitalism, free market, okay, with your currency, and how you gain prosperity across the board, where it creates a rising tide of prosperity, where no ships are swamped by it. Okay, how does that work exactly? Explain that to me. So we don't need welfare anymore because there's nobody poor. Yeah, how does that work? So nobody's borrowing money because you can save enough to buy your own house, whatever you want. Do you understand? Where we're not going off to dubious wars for profit. Okay, where crime is virtually zero, except for a few nutbags and dirtbags out there, demon-possessed people and the like. Okay, a handful of those people that we got to deal with. Do you understand what I'm talking about? The implications of the paradigm shift? The dramatic and profound nature of living free, to be truly free, is astounding to me. But I'm so glad that it's a reality for me. I'm not shrinking away from it at all. I'm all for it, folks. I want it to come, you know. But anyhow, enough pontificating. I'm going to go on to some recent current events. Let's see here. You know, ever since net neutrality was overturned, I haven't seen YouTube play a single video. And in a way, I don't mind that. But I feel bad for all those people that were making money off it. All of a sudden, that they don't have jobs just like that, I guess. That they're not going to be making money anymore if they're not running ads. You know, I remember I read this book by this woman around the turn of the century on demographics, and she pointed out that there was over 640,000 charities operating in America at that time. Well, you could bet it's well over a million. Can you imagine all these charities that make it on the news? Now I saw one for Israel. I don't know what that's. I always thought Israelis were prosperous people. Now I'm finding out that no, they need food. They have food banks. They need, there's. I didn't think there was any poor Israelis. So count me ignorant on that issue. But you see, this is all made up. The whole poverty thing is just made up. Nobody has to be poor on the face of the earth. We could end poverty tomorrow, virtually tomorrow, on the face of the earth. So I'm disgusted by it. And the one thing that bugs me about these charities is I always wonder what the executive pay is. It really turns my stomach to think that I'm supporting a charity that's giving, large sums of money, that's making just a few, because I'm opposed to elitism. And to me, that smacks of elitism. So I'm opposed to that. Well, you know what? For whatever reason, I did not cover a lot of recent events. Oh, wait, here we go. What's this here? Okay. Screwed up a little. Trump tariffs on aluminum and steel. I'm thinking, so what? I mean, they want to make a big deal, but yeah, I think he knows what he's doing. I watch TMZ once in a while. I watch a story. Sometimes the entire show is unwatchable. There's no stories I'm interested in. But if I see a story, I'm interested in getting their take on. But TMZ on FedEx, not abandoning the NRA. But they didn't mention on this TMZ bit. So this is lying through omission. They didn't mention that the NRA membership started surging after this this attempt to boycott them. And I don't, National Rifle Association, Gun Owners of America, and all, you know what? Comme say, comme ça. I mean, it's in our Constitution. I'm not particularly concerned. So it's just people hype stuff up, and a lot of people are making money, so I just don't have much of a take on it. The Lord will destroy those whom destroy the earth. Revelations chapter 11, verse 18. Yeah, so I was right. It actually does say that in the Bible. Owen Schroyer, he's been going on and on, reporter for Alex Jones, InfoWars, about feces all over San Francisco. Has he even ever been to California or San Francisco? I've been going there for a long time. And I got a daughter that lives there, and she does not live in a particularly good section of town, but I have never seen a turd in a gutter street. They've got regular street sweeping, and, I think it was Michael Savage. That's where Owen Schroyer heard something. He saw somebody taking a crap, but, yeah, that can happen, and it's bad, and they ought to provide restrooms. I mean, they call themselves a liberal city. I mean, does that mean egalitarian? Obviously not. Look how they treat the homeless people. And it's disgusting and disturbing and criminal as far as I'm concerned. But, I never saw any feces in the streets. But, it's just, he goes on and on. Like he's just picking on Cal. What do you think most of the Californians think? You think we like to be the guinea pig state? You think we like to be tyrannized? And I've told you, I've explained how you've been tyrannized through the debasement of your currency, through artificially raising your cost of living tax. That's what people got to get it through your heads, to know how you're being tyrannized, to ever hope to extricate yourself from tyranny. And most people don't even get it. They define these terms, man. How are you being tyrannized? Let's talk. Let's talk. Let's discuss it, But anyhow, about San Francisco, I didn't see turds all over. So a lot of jobs that will be rendered irrelevant if we just solve desperate, extreme poverty, they're very important to welfare society right now. So I'm not saying that we need to just get rid of all these jobs. I mean, I've been very grateful to lenders in my life. When I wanted to buy a house and I couldn't just buy it outright cash, I needed to negotiate a loan. Okay, that's happened to me a couple of times. And same for other things. Sometimes you get a private loan, and sometimes, but you know, it's helping you to survive and keep your head above water. So it's just, you know, it should be seen as a temporal patch, okay? But we've got to start thinking progress. And what I mean by progress, I've defined. Your money increases in worth, and here